Freddie Clark was born in 1957 in Oberon, New South Wales, to Ruth Collis and Freddie Clark, a Yorta Yorta man. Freddie Sr. was a boxer in Jimmy Sharman's tents and lived an itinerant life.
When Freddie was very young, he was up in Kinglake with us. My grandmother was looking after him, and my uncle and his wife always stayed there with our people. I used to babysit Freddie, Harry and Joe when they were little, but I was too young, I wasn't married then, and they wouldn't let my grandmother take them because she was too old. Now, Aboriginal elders are looking after children all over Australia now, but at that time they wouldn't let the children stay with their actual grandmother.
When he was 18 months old, Freddie and his brother Joe were removed and first placed in Tirana, the Children's Welfare Department of Victoria Receiving Depot.
I can remember when we was taken off our mother, we was put into a black car and the welfare was in the car at the time. Joe was crying, so was I, and they put Joe and I together in the orphanage, see?
At approximately 11:15 a.m. on Wednesday, the 3rd day of June this year, as a result of a wireless message, I went to the Fitzroy police station, where I interviewed Mrs. Clark regarding her 2 children, Joseph Collis and Frederick Clark. I said to Mrs. Clark, "Why have you come to the police station this morning?" She replied, "I have nowhere to go with the children. I have no money. I would like to have the children put into a home and then I could go to work." I said, "Has your husband given you any money to keep the children?" She replied, "No, he has never got any money. When he wants to buy a drink, he borrows from his friends at the hotel. On 2 occasions recently, he asked me to go onto the streets to get money, but I refused."
Well, probably alcoholism, because Uncle Freddie drank very, very heavy. Only Ruth never, she was a lovely person. But Kooris are always moving around. It's hard to get homes, it's hard to keep your families together, unless you've got that strong family support. And we were all up in Kinglake, because there was plenty of work there, and they went back to Melbourne. And because she didn't have the support from her family, it would have been extremely difficult.
Dear Sir or Madam, I am writing inquiring about my 2 children, Joseph and Frederick. Are they still at Ballarat? I made a telephone call at Christmas time and I was told not to bother coming up there to see my children. Don't I have any say at all? After all, I am Joseph and Frederick's mother. The way I'm treated, you'd think that I was an outlaw or something of that type.
From the baby's home, the boys were moved to the Ballarat orphanage. Freddie and Joe remained in the orphanage until Freddie was 6. Meanwhile, Freddie's brother Harry was born and removed from his mother.
The Ballarat orphanage, which occupied this site, was one of several institutions where Aboriginal children were placed after being removed from their family. When we'd have recess time, Joe and I would run to the fence, both to the same fence, because he was in one side and I was in the other side. And he'd run there and we'd both cuddle and just stand there cuddling each other every recess time and just saying how lovely the flowers were and whatever, you know. We often talked about Mum and Dad, But Joe always said we will never see him again. And that's what happened, you know. Well, this is a place where Joe and I was close together. We had no parents, so we stuck together here and loved each other instead of a mother and father, you know. And this is a lot of memories come from this place. They tried to split me up from here and send Joe to Ararat, but they found out that Joe and I was too attached to each other, so they said that they couldn't part us because we were too attached. Well, I'm still thinking about things, you know, when I was here, And the old wood, nothing's changed since I was here, It's all the same. These were the same shoes that we used to wear all the time when I was in the orphanage. They were sandals the same as this. I remember riding around on the figure 8 with the 3-wheel bikes at the Ballarat orphanage. Because me and Joe used to race around them tracks. Yeah, as soon as I seen the place, I knew I'd been there before and on those same bikes, and they're still the same old bikes today. They're that old. I still remembered a lot of things in that place, Even between the doors, like big doors, how high they were, and too high for little fellas to try and get out of. And there was the iron bars in the windows. Used to look out them iron bars too. And yeah, brought back a lot of hurt though when I was younger, yeah. I wasn't happy to be in an orphanage. We missed the mother and father, and that was it, you know. We had no mother and father. Joe's never ever been back to this place. I was the only one looking for looking for everything in our lives, you know, trying to work our lives out like a jigsaw. And Joe didn't have much to do with that sort of stuff.
When he was 6, Freddy and his brother Joe were fostered out to a white family who lived in Underbull, a small town in Victoria's far northwest. The foster parents, Wally and Doris, were raising 7 of their own children. Freddy and Joe were the only Aboriginal children in the household.
Joe and I was there together, and Harold was left in the orphanage, and we never ever seen him again. I didn't meet Harold until he was 38.
Then they split us up again and gave us gifts to ease the pain. Sent us off to foster home. As we grew up, we felt alone.
It was a long trip, and then when we got down there to where we was going to stay and live for the rest of our lives, or was fostered out, that night we got there was a little church meetings or whatever, and they had their little sing-alongs for the kids and whatever, and as soon as we got there, Joe and I dived straight under the table. We was that embarrassed because all these people were just staring at us at the time. And they was all saying, "Oh, how cute, how beautiful, aren't they lovely little black kids, eh?" And it was like we was on show at a dog show, you know what I mean? I was that frightened of all them white fellas at that time, eh?
Wally, a Dutchman, was a beekeeper, and Freddy was expected to work hard for his foster father.
They was good to us at first, yeah. And like, I don't know what was wrong. It was why we were so mucking up so much, because we had a lot of hurt because we had no mum, and we was told when we was going to school, you know, the white kids used to say to us, "Freddy and Joe, that's not your brother, he's white. You're the little black niggers, tar boys," and all that. The headmaster, well, he said that we don't want any racial discrimination with these boys because, you know, they're down here to try and make their own life. Anyways, first week was all right at high school. Then after that, it was on for young and old, you know. We were getting tormented every day. Go home and scrub yourself, you know. Go and have a wash with sand soap or something, you know. Get a wire brush and scrub the black off you. And even when I used to go to sports, I used to have to put powder on me so I'd look white, you know. It's so funny them days. I always felt like I was always last. Me and Joe was always last. Like, we was always last to be fed or to be given things. Christmas time was another one. We'd only get one present each Christmas. Joe would have a present and I'd have a present, but that was what we only got at Christmas time. And birthdays, one present. And yet we had our foster sisters. When all their family come along, they had presents galore, eh? But I had no family with me whilst I was living there. I got flogged, yeah, and I think they went overboard with the flogging, so I didn't agree with a lot of the floggings because I thought we was getting picked on as it was anyways, because I was a different colour at the time, you know. The mother used to do it as well. She used to make me pull my pants. I was 14 years of age and she was pulling my pants down in front of the sisters and all, and I thought it wasn't right, you know. But to do this, you know, I thought it was evil what she was doing. I used to go to school with bruises on my arse and my legs, and sometimes my back. And I'd be wearing jumpers and long sleeves and jeans sometimes to hide my bruises.
Far more damaging than the physical abuse was the sexual abuse Freddy experienced at the hands of his foster father.
You know, the things he done to me, you know, when I was a young boy, you know, hurt me so many times. Never said sorry or nothing. And then there was times I was naughty and I did get flogged, but I was getting that used to getting flogged, it wasn't hurting me anymore. No more tears anymore.
After many years of no contact from his family, an auntie visited the boys at their school to inform them that their parents had passed away. This was in around 1971. The boys' paternal grandmother had made an attempt to have the children released to her, but was refused. Freddy and Joe made plans to run away from their foster parents to live with their auntie Muriel.
I said to Joe, right, wake me up in the morning and I'm coming with you. And he said, yeah, Freddy, I won't leave you. I'll wait for you. I'll wake you up in the morning. So anyways, in the next morning I woke up. I looked under the bed to see whether Joe was there, because we was on double bunks. Joe was gone. So I ran out to the dam straight away and I seen his swag's gone. Mine's still there. Oh, geez, I cried straight away. And I said, my brother's left me, what can I do? And from that day on, I don't know, I was rebellious or something, but I was getting hidings every day. Eh? And they kept saying, where is he, you know? I said, I don't know where he is. Eh? I wasn't even allowed to go into town because they thought that I'd run into Joe. My foster father and mother found out that our auntie, our true auntie, had come to the school looking for us, and it was a school holiday, so my foster parents sent me to this church in Murray Bridge, a church camp in Murray Bridge, and I went over there and I said, my auntie will be back for me soon in 2 weeks to see me here at Underbill, and they said, well, you won't be in Underbill, you'll be in Murray Bridge. So I went to this church camp. Anyways, I was getting molested at the church camp by this leader, and what was it? I wanted to commit suicide. I went down, it was early in the morning, I went down the back fence of this paddock, and there was a big cliff there, about 300-foot drop. And what was it? I heard this banging of rocks, and I looked up across the other side there, and then I spotted this fox, and it was shaking its head, like telling me not to do it. And I shit myself, and I ran back to the camp, and anyways, I sat down, I was crying a lot because I just wanted to get out of this place as well. As I said, and next minute my auntie come along. Her and Joe was in there praying one morning, early morning prayers it was. And next minute I hear this whistle. And me and Joe had this whistle all the time. Wherever we was, we'd know where each other was because we'd whistle. And we'd find each other real quick. But anyways, when Joe whistled, I'm supposed to have my eyes saying prayers, but I opened up and here's my brother. And he's poking faces at me while we're all praying there. And I pissed myself laughing, eh? And next minute the preacher goes, Freddy, you keep laughing, you'll have to go outside. So I laughed again and I went outside. And I was so happy because my brother was out there. And I cuddled him. Oh, it was like I hadn't seen him for years. But anyways, they said, we come to pick you up and take you, Fred. And I said, that's good, I want to get away from these evil people, eh? And so I took off with my auntie back to Maryborough in Victoria there. Yeah, I said, oh good, I'm free. I jumped in the car and we got out to the service station. And Auntie Muriel was getting petrol. I jumped out of the car and I said, Joe, I'm free. I got no bosses, I got no mum and dad, I'm free. I said, no one's my boss now. And then my auntie Muriel said, yes, I'm your bloody boss.
Freddy then went to live with his auntie. Life there was not easy either, and in 1973 his auntie placed him in Tirana Children's Home. Freddy was deemed uncontrollable.
She became our legal guardian. Then, I tell you, I went with Auntie Muriel for a while, and her husband, he was an evil man too.
I believe Fred's section behaviour has been greatly affected by his confinement, and despite his behaviour, which has been a form of rebellion, recommendation would be for his return to his foster parents, considering that he has committed no offence.
The welfare said, did I want to go back to my auntie or did I want to go to my foster parents? I said, I'll go back to my foster parents because I know I can run away again. So I went back to them, and that's when I went back to them for a while. Then I got a job. I got a job ploughing paddocks and ran up horses and cattle, and I finally broke away from everyone and started doing my own thing, working, see. When Joe ran away, he ended up going with the other auntie, which is my dad's sister, Auntie Letty. Joe was with her. He went Queensland, they went fruit picking everywhere working. And when Auntie Letty passed away, well, Joe and I used to see each other every 2 years. It didn't matter. Every 2 years we'd go and see each other. I'd go and stay with him or he'd come and visit me. But we always kept in contact every 2 years. I went hitchhiking around Australia about 2 times in my life, trying to find mum and dad, you know. And second time around Australia, I ran into a bloke of the name of Greg Sinclair. He was from Murray Bridge, and we was all drinking in the Diamond Square in Murray Bridge, Main Street. There was a heap of nungas there, so sat down and had a drink for a while, and one of the lads said, hey, Freddy, these all your family? And I said to him, I'm looking for Fred Clark and Ruth Collis, which is my mother and father. Anyways, he said, I used to live in Shepparton, and there was old Freddie Clark and his wife living in Shepparton, so I was drinking that day, and then I just got up, bought myself a flag, and away I went, straight through to Shepparton hitchhiking. When I got to Shepparton, I found my cousin, who was Irene Hamlin, and she was my dad's sister's daughter, yeah, and she was first cousin to me, see, and that was the lady I first met in Shepparton, who was my family. And she said, Freddie, we've got heaps of family up in Taree, up on the Purfleet Mission. So another couple of days I hitchhiked up there, went up there to Taree and met all my tribe up there. Geez, they were a wild mob too, eh? But anyways, I got on with all of them, and I'm still meeting family today as it is, eh?
His dad was a wanderer. He wandered all over Australia. He was the baby of the family and he was very spoilt. Nanny spoilt him. And he married a beautiful lady. Ruth was a lovely lady. And when he married her, her family cut her off because he married into an Aboriginal family.
Mum was 28 years of age. She had she died with a broken heart. And she was in Larundel Mental Institution or something. Yeah, she was only 28 years of age when she died, Mum. And then Dad passed away in Sale Jail. He was only 38. Dad asked the wardens for his tablets. They told him to get so-and-so. And in the morning, my father was stiff as a board on the floors of the cell. And today he's buried in a pauper grave down at Sale Jail, and that's now a tourist attraction, you know. You know, a lot of people all over Australia, like in South Australia and New South and that, they said my father was a good man, but then you read these files and, you know, he's just a drunk, alcoholic or whatever, eh? And like it's, you don't know whether to believe these papers or what, you know, whether they wrote it there for fun or just to get kids away or whatever. I wanted to find a family, someone to love, you know, and I felt so unloved for years, you know what I mean? And girlfriends, I was passing them in and out, that was just friends and that's it, you know what I mean? But I did settle down for some time, but made a few kids and I'm happy.
When he was 38, Freddy chanced upon his youngest brother Harry, who had been fostered to another family.
I was always worried about where he was and that. I knew he was a brother. And I said one day we'll run into him, but anyways, I was working at Seymour in the army barracks there, Puckapunyo, and I used to go to work every morning, 7:30, and this black fella used to yell out to me every day as I was walking past this same house. And he'd say, "Hey brother, come and have a goonie with me." I'd say, "No brothers, I'm off to work." And like a couple of weeks later, I went round to this other friend's place and they said, "We've found your brother Harry." I said, "Go away." Anyways, Northey brought him round to my first wife's place and I was settled down at the time, had a couple of little kids, and what was it? Harry come round there. I said, "Hey brother," I said, "do you live in Seymour?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you're my brother." I said, "I've seen you for weeks and weeks." And I didn't know who he was, and that was my youngest brother, Harold. But he kept tormenting me about those casks every morning.
Around 1987, Freddy, Joe and Harry had the opportunity to get together for the first time.
I always thought I was on my own. And being like adopted in a family of 15, well, you know, you always think about your real family. If you got real brothers, sisters. And that's what I done. As soon as I found out I had a brother there, I wanted to see him. And I went over there and seen his wife who he was with. And she told me he was on the highway hitchhiking down from Taree to see me. So we was happy as to see each other. It was hard first off, just crying, hugging each other. His life was mucked up from the same thing, you know, not having a mother and father. And he got into the drugs and the grog as well, like I did as well, but I'll try and ease up, but I'll get there one day. We yarned and Harry asked a lot of questions, but then there was a lot of questions that I didn't even know myself. And Joe, he was always working. He was trying to forget all what happened to us, you know. Joe was trying to move on and don't worry about it, Fred, you know. Whereas I was trying to find out my family and all that through Link Up.
There are so many chapters in our lives that are missed. He's missed all the birthdays, all the weddings, all the funerals. He's lost his grandparents, his father and his mother, and it's made it very, very difficult for the three brothers. Him and Joe were very, very close. They were together, but Harry was put into a baby's home, and it was very hard for Joe and Harry and Freddy to bond together as brothers.
No, it's hard because here, Fred and the older brother got taken away. Those at other foster homes, and I got taken away altogether from them. And I got put with family here in Seymour. So we didn't know what was what. They were probably looking for me, well, I went looking for them. It took me a few years before I come across this. I found them, I was happy. He'd always ask me, "Where's Mum and Dad?" and that, and Like I told him, Mum and Dad had passed away, and he used to get jealous of the way Joe and I were because we were so close together. That's only because we were raised up together, though. It's hard because we'd been away from each other so long. Same like Freddy'd been with the older brother, where I was with another foster family, and I was way away on my own, with my own adopted family, right? So I didn't know nothing. And then when we first got all back together, Fred and Joe sit there talking about old times, right? Sort of get me first off, because it upset me because I didn't know what they're on about. And I thought, oh, well, they left me out, And I cracked it at them. But then they understood where the younger brother was coming from, But I've got to learn all that, know it all, It's hard, though. We don't see enough of each other. And as it is, like our mother and father's dead, both of them are gone, It's hard. I'm the same as anyone's son. I'd like to see my own mum and dad before they passed away, but there's nothing you can do about it now. No.
Freddy remained close to his brother Joe and was devastated when Joe died at the age of 56. He is buried at a cemetery overlooking the sea at Warrnambool, where whales are often seen. Freddy believes that his childhood experiences made it difficult to be a stable father figure to his own children, although his children mean everything to him.
I had a son, Nicholas. He was 28 years of age, and he rang up and told me, he said he was going to kill himself, and I didn't believe him. I told him not to talk shit like this, and anyways, I told him to come up for a holiday for a while, and well, he didn't, but anyways, I got a phone call 2 days later and found out that he'd committed suicide, and that broke another hole. It broke me down bad. Before that, my oldest brother Joe, he passed away, and that just ripped me the shit out, straight up. And that's when I was looking for help and whatever, but I couldn't get it at the time. So I just kept drinking. I worry about him because he hitchhikes a lot. You know what it's like on the road. I just don't want to lose him. Otherwise I'm on my own then. I was heading down the highway, all on my lonesome me. Just me and my backpack and a 6-pack of VB. I went right around Australia, all on my lonesome me. I met all kinds of people, just like you and me.
In 2006, a family reunion took place at Barma on the banks of the Murray River, and a significant place to many Victorian Aboriginal people. The reunion was attended by many of Freddy's extended family network from across southeastern Australia.
We had a reunion, and I come all the way down from Sydney to have the reunion. We had it out of place out of Barma, little camping ground it is. Anyway, we stayed down. We had I think it was a 4-day reunion, yeah. Family was bringing photos out there and telling us stories and whatever. But it was just a get-together, and it was so good to be with all my family and only my family, Nieces, nephews, aunties, uncles, the whole lot. I didn't realise how much of a big family I had. It is important for all of us Aboriginal people because we need to know who our family is and who isn't,
Freddy continues to seek out family members and to find out about them. He values the time he spends with other Stolen Generation members, especially at camps where they get to yarn around the campfire.
Like Auntie Irene's like a mother figure to me. I've got to, I trust and, I love her like a family and all, She's like a mother figure for me.
It's been very hard for Freddy because he never knew what a family was, and he found it very hard with his relationships, and very hard, being a father, because there was no father figure, only strangers rearing you, and he wasn't brought up in our culture, so it was very, very difficult. And so it's been a difficult journey for you, hasn't it, Fred?
Yeah.
And he's finding it hard because now he's a grandfather and he's got all these beautiful children, and he just wants to help them see them be successful and have a good and decent quality of life.
Most of my life I've been learning about the white fellas and not the black. I've never ever been taught about black fellas. I was only taught about the white history. I never knew anything about Aboriginal people, taken away from their people and all that. This is things that I never knew about, and here I was, one of them.
Yeah, it took the children away. They were snatched from their mother's breast, said this is for the best, took them away. Said took the children away. Yeah, the children away. Breaking